Welcome back to Grow Your Impact, Income, and Influence for the Stage. If you are somebody who is holding events and you want to get a 20% higher show up rate to your virtual events, if you would like to double your closing rate and you would like to have people highly engaged throughout your event, we are going to be talking about that on today's show. This is the show for you. I'm joined by one of my closest friends, Mark Stern, the founder of Custom Box Agency. How are you doing today, Mark?
Steve, it's great to be here. Excited for this podcast.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us. Let's just jump in right off the bat. People think about boxes and they think about like a swag box, something with a t-shirt in it, something with some stuff in it. Just in 30 seconds or less, what makes your boxes? I see all those tiles on your back wall. What makes them different than just a t-shirt and a book in a box?
Yeah, our big focus is how do you create an experience? And when you can create an experience, you create something that's memorable and can move people to get a result too. So when we think about a swag box as a different thing, we joke and say swag means stuff without a goal. I don't need you to send me another hat, t-shirt, or a pair of sunglasses that has your branding on it. I would rather you show people the pathway to success and then give them the tools and resources so they are set up for success and can have that breakthrough as they're going through in the example of a virtual event, your virtual event, literally give them the things that they need. So especially it's difficult to be virtual for a 1 or 3 day event all day. Box and the experience you can create can increase that engagement in a really powerful way.
Awesome. As you guys listen to this, Mark is going to be showing some boxes. If you're listening to the audio of this, this is one of the ones that we are putting on YouTube, just so you can see the boxes and see some of the stuff that is included with the box. If you want to experience this in real life, you can go to customboxagency.com. You can also check out something called the activateseries.com. Well, this technically is not a virtual event. It kind of is. Mark, I'll let you explain it a little bit just so that people can see what you actually do.
Yeah, this is a free gift. So all you need to do is opt in. And what it is we launched a product called Activate Deck. The product is a really simple system using a deck of cards to visualize your customer acquisition strategy. And there's just 4 key phases in terms of how you acquire customers. So what this is with the Activate series, when you opt in, we did a small event where we interviewed 20 different 7 and 8 figure entrepreneurs and literally mapped out how they go about acquiring customers to grow their business. So when you opt in, not only do you get access to those interviews, you also get access to each of the people we interviewed's blueprint that literally breaks down how they acquire customers.
Awesome. All right. So let's backtrack a little bit. I want to know how you got into this because it's such, I mean, it's such a unique niche. I know the story, but it's still so crazy how you got here. You were a top-rated strategy consultant at Deloitte. Then you left, you started your entrepreneur journey. How does that lead to creating, hundreds of boxes, customer journeys, and visualizing everything?
And what's crazy about this, Steve, is you were part of that journey back in 2018. Is that right?
Yeah.
So I had just taken the leap, had a moment. There's a long story behind it, but to leave corporate America, and I used to joke that I was the poster child of corporate America because that's all I knew. I went to undergrad, had the one job between undergrad and business school, got my MBA at Duke, and then worked for Deloitte Consulting for many years and thought that would be it. Corporate ladder is all I knew. So to make a pivot and explore the digital marketing realm, for me, I had this itch that I had to scratch. Not sure if I would ever go back into corporate, but I'm so grateful I did. And the first thing that I did out of the gates was this event called Clickpreneur. It was a virtual event. I interviewed 40 people as part of it, Steve being one of them. And one of the things that I did was the virtual event model, and this is more of like the legacy virtual summit model. I don't see as many people doing it. It's leveraged as a lead gen play. I thought it was overwhelming to dump 40 hours worth of interviews onto potential prospects that needed my services. It just seemed like it was just too much and too overwhelming. So I did something really simple. I took all the interviews and turned them into a resource that I called Entrepreneur Elements. And anyone who bought a ticket received this publication. And what I did not expect is as people were starting to receive the publication in the mail, they started doing all these reveal videos showing off the publication, showing off if they were featured in it. So I was getting all this attention and viral buzz that cost me nothing. The organic traffic from these ambassadors receiving it was incredible to the business. So this idea of if you have a digital product, you should complement it with something physical because you can't unbox a digital product. Was something that really stuck with me. And that transition, and I wanted to test out a box experience, which was another event I did early 2019 called High Ticket Online. And I'm holding the box. This is box zero before I even knew custom box agency was going to be the thing. But I created this experience that we spotlighted 10 experts who had high ticket offers. And then everything in the box was helping the listener navigate the sessions and also create their own high ticket offer. And again, what happened was people went nuts over the box. They would unbox it, they would show it off in videos, they were selling my product for me. And I just solidified, if you do something digital, you need something physical. It's evolved, and I'll be quick with this, Steve, but it's evolved today to say, how do we think more strategically about leveraging the physical to enable digital? And it's getting even more relevant in this age of AI. But we look at boxes and say, you can leverage them to acquire customers, better deliver your products and services, or increase retention rates. So how do we increase lifetime value? So many different strategies of how we start to think about it, and just putting the brain power around it. That's where I'm having a lot of fun in this modality, is that box is just our vehicle for how we can help clients deliver better to their customers and helping customers get results faster.
Well, I mean, that is really the end game, right? How do you get the customer to take more action, to live into the thing that they've bought, and then actually get results? You and I have both been in some programs where they literally say, okay, you're in the program, here's 900 videos for you to watch. And oh, by the way, we sent you a t-shirt. And that doesn't really lead to success. Starting with, I mean, high ticket online, how many items were in that box? You
Oh,
think?
see, that was an early box, so it may have been only 8 items. It wasn't a ton of things. I wanted them to have a workbook. We turned all of the speakers into trading cards with their key insights on the back of it. I just wanted it to be easy to navigate the content because it can become overwhelming. And part of the goal, especially for you who do, those of you who do like a front end virtual event as an enrollment event to your higher ticket offers, if I can get you a result faster and not dump 40 hours worth of content that you need to go through, I know I can ascend you faster because my style is resonating with you, getting you to take action, which therefore it's providing value. And so that's kind of what we're starting to engineer is, especially with events, how do we think through the experience in a way to lead people to have those breakthroughs? And the natural next step is going to be whatever you're trying to enroll them into at the back of the event.
Yeah, we'll come back to the events. I want to go to kind of your journey. So high ticket
Yeah.
online, maybe 8 or 10. I know it had those jumbo playing cards in it. You had a workbook, but that has evolved. I mean, that was
Oh, yeah.
2019. I want to talk about what a virtual event now looks like. Because I mean, I come from the live events world. Whether you are live in the room or doing a virtual event, a box really helps to change engagement. Now, what does a normal box look like for you for an event?
Yeah, it's a great question. So you have to start by thinking about what is the journey your customer is navigating through. For a lot of people, what they think about if they're doing a virtual event is the engagement starts day one when the first session commences with the host taking the stage. That's not true. There's 3 different phases that you have to think about as you start to engineer a box experience or sending them something. Phase 1 is pre-event. I can send you the box and ask you to take an action in order to get a better result on day one out of the event. The second phase is the actual event itself. And then the third phase is post event. So if we anchor on this idea of how are we thinking through journey, pre event, during the event, and post event, then it starts to open up how do we start to engineer the story inside the box. So I'll give you an example of pre event, and this is something that anyone listening can deploy. If I sent you a box, one of the things that we did with one of our clients, Maya Camarota, she has a business called Born for This, and her event is Born for This Live. She targets women ages 30 to 70 who have heavily checked themselves on the line to invest more in their significant other or their children's lives. And her whole message was, we were all put on this earth for a reason. It was written in the stars. It's time for you to step into the person that you were born to be. And what was really powerful is when people received the box, we actually put them on what we called the journey, an activity pre-event, where it was just an auditory experience. She just wanted her people to go out for a walk for 30 minutes with their earbuds, breathe in the fresh air in their own environment, and she walked them through and guided them through some pre-event work. So what's powerful about this is the influencer, the trusted mentor of the virtual event, is literally in the ears of her participants before the event starts. And she's already starting to activate them emotionally and connect them emotionally, which then, as it transitions to day one, it's a really powerful way to activate your audience because they are just getting a taste of what's to come and they want to experience more. And what was really powerful about that event, almost 25% of her participants posted whether it was unboxing videos or the outcome of the exercise prior to the event. And when you have that many people posting and posting and posting on social media, it creates this ripple effect to those who signed up for the event but may not have opened their box. So we want to create that excitement and that FOMO to say, oh, there's something that's happening and I want to be a part of it. And it's a really powerful way to just anchor people to get excited about the event prior to even showing up day one.
Yeah, so I want to take that and run with it. So
Sure.
one of the things that we've been seeing in the virtual event world, probably 15 of the last virtual events we did, show up rate has been dropping. People buy a ticket for 97, 197, 297, and we're unfortunately in some of them we were seeing low 60%. Well, we came in and we built a whole engagement process starting 8 weeks before the event to get
Yeah.
show up rates back to 85% plus. The box experience that you just laid out is one of the easiest things that you can do. If you're listening to this and you hold a virtual event, you've done the hard work to get people to buy a ticket. But it's not over. You have to continue to do the work. And this is an easy layup, whether it's a book, whether it's a box, whether it's some way to touch them. So I love the fact that that's what she did. She was able, like, through the boxes that you've built for virtual events, you've been able to get show up rates to 90% plus, and that's the pre-event piece. Then we move into the event. I want to go back to, I'm going to ask you the question again. How
Sure.
many pieces on average does an event box have in it?
I mean, if it's a typical box that we produce, I would probably say about 30. 30 sounds like a lot. It's really not when you start to organize the experience. So a welcome note is a piece, but if you have a workbook, that's a piece as well. And so how we start to think about it is there's a clear journey if it's a 3 day event, for example, because I mean, defining journey is really easy for an event. If you have it day one, day two, day three, and the story arc as to how you navigate that, is a clear journey that I can set people up so they can see where they're going to go. And literally the contents in the box, we love to leverage envelopes to like hide some or other boxes to hide some of the story. So when we get to that critical point, you earn the right to break open that piece and reveal what's inside. So again, it sounds like it's a lot of pieces, but how it rolls out, it really isn't. I mean, if you think of playing any board game, board games have Monopoly, I think has somewhere around 150 pieces inside the box. It's when it's organized, it's seamless. And the other thing I want to anchor on, because I think it's important, Steve, is if you're listening, if you have a $47, $97, $297, $997 event, whatever the cost of the event is, my happy zone with a lot of these boxes is getting them in the price range for hard cost of goods of 15 to 30, where you could self liquidate part of it with the event ticket. And I say that because the it's not about generating the money on the sale of the ticket. And this is what we see with most of our clients. It's truly about how do I give them a one of a kind experience so I can position myself as their trusted mentor, helping them get results so I can ascend them to those higher ticket offers. So we see that very commonly that people are leveraging the cost of the box, and shipping is just part of it. So just being subsidized by the event ticket. So if you see yourself breaking even, don't be afraid of that. It's incredible to see what we see in terms of like back end conversions that make it such a no brainer when you are literally able to see the full pie.
Well, I will second that. So the event game, I mean, 10 years ago, it was get people in the room. You could probably make a little bit of money off of tickets, and then all your money came on the back end, like your big payday. Now we've seen virtual events. It kind of shifted, right? People are like, well, I want lower cost up front, so I'm going to run a virtual event. Well, now with show up rates dropping and the fact that so many people went through virtual events starting in COVID, and now here we are 5, 6 years post COVID. So many people have been to events. they might come up, they register, right? But they're not really blocking their calendar for all 3 days. Oh, I'm going to be on Facebook. Oh, I'm going to go run some errands. I might listen on my phone. I might miss a couple sessions. How do you ensure people show up and are hyper engaged for the event? Well, the first thing that you do is build the community beforehand. We've touched on that. The second thing is make the event so powerful and get them so involved in the event in the comfort of their own homes that they are there for the entire thing. You've shown more than a doubling in close rate through using boxes. I would like to say that I've seen very similar in the events that we have done that have included boxes. The show up rate to the pitch goes through the roof, as
Oh.
well as the close rate. And it's what you touched on. People have built a relationship. There's more rapport, there's more trust. So let's talk a little bit about some of the items that you put in the box. The first one is the welcome note slash journey map. I think this is one of the most important things and something that you, when you sit down with clients, you really help them map out. Can you talk through the importance of a journey map? I know if you're listening, you might say,
Sure.
well, that doesn't sound that important. What actually is the journey map and why is it so critical?
So I'm going to break it down into two different pieces. Welcome note is a piece, and journey map is a second piece, is a separate piece. Another core piece that we always include is an event guide. So just to break down all three of these pieces because they're all hyper relevant to the story. And then aside from that, it's all the tools and resources that they need to be set up for success for the event. Welcome note reminds them of why they are starting this process or why they bought a ticket to the virtual event. It's a great way to introduce the trusted mentor if they don't have much of a connection or relationship as well. But reiterating the reason why they started this is so important. So we keep it simple. It's a one-page welcome note. Usually on the front end is like a breakdown to remind them why and the key benefits as to why they want to show up. In the back, we like to spotlight, some of the pieces that are revealed in the box. The second piece that you mentioned, the journey map. The reason the journey map is so important, what we mean by journey map is it's kind of the recipe to success that you have, which is the journey you're going to be taking them in through the event. So, simple way to start it, anything that we do at the beginning is a start here or onboarding of some sort. And then we break the process down into phases and define what the phases are. And we create a one pager that kind of shows them the journey that they're about to go through with some context. The reason that this is important is it's easy to say, and this is what I see a lot of marketers do. They're selling outcome, they're selling outcome, they're selling outcome, but people are not showing them the formula as to how they're going to get them that outcome. A journey map is designed to do just that. This is the outcome as to why you are joining this virtual event or buying the course or the coaching program or whatever the thing you're selling is. A journey map can show me the pathway from beginning to end with just very high level phases of how you're actually going to get me there. So, as your customer or client, if you share this, and this is why a journey map is a really powerful sales tool, you're literally showing people without giving away the nuts and bolts and the tactics of how to do it. You're literally showing them here's the process you're about to go through to get this outcome. And in the selling conversation, when you leverage a journey map that is reinforced when they start to go through the virtual event experience, literally the buyer is going, okay, I see the outcome now. I can believe it because I can see how these steps can lead me to this outcome. So that's why it's really, really important. And it does not need to be overthought, but it needs to be clear enough. And there's so many ways you can like gamify and do things like that. But I'm going to keep it simple for this group. It's a powerful sales tool pre and during the event just to show people how they get outcome.
Well, the two things that I love that the journey map does is one, it does lay out that process. It shows that you, as the authority, know how to get from A to B, but it also builds curiosity and it gets people to show up. When things are well named and things are well framed, it gets people to show up. One of your secret passions is gamification and video game guides. And
Oh,
video game guides do this. Like the reason you get a video game guide is it shows you all the secrets of the game, but it doesn't give them away. You actually have to go through the process to get them. And I feel like a good journey map does that.
yeah.
I don't know if you want to comment on that at all.
Sure. So here's the reality. Like beyond Mario Kart, I really don't play many video games. Steve can attest to this. But I have a habit of collecting video game players guides. And the reason for that is not because I have any desire to get these games. It's because think about it. If you're playing a video games today are complex. And for someone to build a book that teaches you how to play the game all the way to beating the final boss and saving the princess, and they can visually lay it out, there's so much power and intel and just the graphics and how they lay out the design that have inspired so much of my business. And so such a quirky little thing, but like something as simple as my favorite game of all time, which is Mario Brothers 3 for original Nintendo. That probably dates me because I think that came back out. I think that came out in the 1980s. Um, that how they have laid out that journey, there's so much strategy in it that like when we've taken it and replaced it in a business context, no one would ever guess that the inspiration came from a thing like Mario. But that's kind of where it's just like looking at other industries and how they're laying out journeys. These are multi-billion-dollar industries. We have a ton we can learn from them. So this is why like the whole player's guide for me is such a fascinating thing to look through.
That is what you're building for the event. So the whole idea with the box, I'm just going to keep reiterating this, is to build rapport and to build that trust and that connection with your audience while they're sitting in their house. And this is what ultimately leads to sales and leads to them taking action. There's one other piece that I love that you put in the box, and it's custom for pretty much every person that you work with. Can you just talk a little bit about the touch point that goes with the story piece?
Oh yeah, I love a good story piece. So Steve anchored us this really well early on the call. Like, I don't like swag. This is why we call swag stuff without a goal. Because if it's stuff like you give me another branded shirt, branded mug, like there's no intentionality behind it. If there's no intentionality or more important, connection to your movement or your community, then it's stuff and stuff gets thrown away. The boxes we build, it's very much anchored on this idea of being intentional. And so that is like a lot of what we're looking at. When we're talking about a story piece, what we're talking about is putting something in the box that is insignificant. When someone receives the box and sees it, they have no connection to it. But when they know the story behind it, not only is it a connection piece to the person on stage, the trusted mentor, but it's amazing how their story becomes your story. And I can give a couple examples if that's helpful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please.
Krista Mayshore. I absolutely love her. She's a brilliant educator in the real estate space. She's an influencer in real estate. And she's incredible. She had this piece that was called the Stop, Snap, and Switch bracelet. So she wears a bracelet. It's like a beaded bracelet. And anytime she has a negative thought, she stops, she snaps her bracelet, like pulls it back and lets it go, and then switches it to the other hand. So she shared this exercise in everyone's box. What did they receive? They received the Stop, Snap, and Switch bracelet when she spoke at Funnel Hacking Live in front of 5,000 people. She called and said, let's put a box on every chair. She told me that story. I said, no, you put that bracelet on every chair because it's your story becoming their story. And I would see people out in the wild wearing the Stop, Snap, and Switch bracelet, which just extends her influence in that power, in that capacity. Penelope Jane Smith, she includes a purple eraser. And she talks about losing it all in 2008 during the economic crash and remembering the first thing that she bought when she had money was this purple eraser. And so she has this whole story that is like, I know what it's like to lose everything. And this purple story embodied something really powerful. Purple eraser embodied something really powerful for her that what do we include in every box? Like it was a non-negotiable. She needed to put a purple eraser in everyone's box. So when people see that and they hold it and they save it, it's really powerful. I'll give one quick one because I thought it was really cool. Another virtual event, Maya Marotta for Born for This Live. She included a handkerchief. Again, it's something that's insignificant when you see it, but when you know the story, it transforms everything. And what the story was there was a time that she was in an all-time low in her life, and she fell down to her knees and started crying to her father. Her father reached out and grabbed his handkerchief and gave it to her, and she said, "No, I don't want to get it dirty." And his response to her was, "No, your tears are sacred. They weren't meant to be cried in a tissue and thrown out. They're meant to be saved," and handed her his handkerchief. This piece, we put a handkerchief in everyone's box that said, "Your tears are sacred." And she told that story. We're talking about a piece that probably cost $1.50 in terms of the hard cost in the box. The impact, people save that. They take it to her events. It has become such a powerful piece that it's so true to her that you just can't not feel the connection to that person. Whether or not you ascended to her high ticket offer, she stays relevant because you made your own story their story.
So I mean, I love that piece because this is really what you want to build. What I teach when you're speaking from stage and you're doing one-to-many sales, whether it's an event, virtual event, or you're speaking on somebody else's stage, the whole idea is that you want the audience to feel like they know you
Yeah,
in a one-on-one setting and that you are a close, trusted advisor. And putting things like that in the box is what causes that to happen. I want to talk through when you meet with somebody. I know because I've gone out to dinner with you and clients. I've sat with people who've said like we sat down with Mark. We thought we were going to put a mug, a t-shirt, and like some post-it notes in a box. And Mark helped us reimagine our entire business around this box for the event. Can you just talk through for a minute or two what a strategy session with you looks like? Because I want people that are listening to this, yeah, you could probably go put together a grab bag and put it in a FedEx envelope and send it to people. But what Mark does goes beyond that. Whether we're talking about the journey maps, whether we're talking about one of the 30 pieces or the story piece, can you just talk through what a basic
totally.
strategy session with you looks like?
Yeah, we break it up into two parts. This is a good question, Steve. The first one is for us to be a good strategic partner for you, we need to understand your universe. And what I mean by universe is you may be doing an event, but the event's probably a piece of a bigger pie. And so what we like to do is we have this whole system of 10 different categories we delve into, and that just gives us a really 10,000-foot view of what is the big picture of the vision? What is it that you're trying to achieve? And it allows us to get smart to make sure however we engineer the box experience, it is designed to navigate people to know and understand and ascend through your universe. The second part of it is an all-day workshop. Now that we know what the pieces are, usually what that reveals is before we do our workshop, we ask what are things that would be helpful for us to go through before spending a day together. And what I mean by that is if someone has a course, we'll go through the course. If someone has a book, we'll read the book. If someone has a virtual event, we'll go through the pieces of the virtual event if it's recorded. It just allows us to get smart. So when we do our all day workshop, which is the next piece, we are not spending the time going, tell me more about this, tell me more about this. I want to hit the ground running with creating an opportunity that I want the conversation to feel like we've been part of your team for years, and we're now creating something incredible and innovating in a really powerful way to take what you're doing to the next level. And the other fun thing about that is you'll get your hands on so many examples. But I want it to feel like, this is a horrible analogy, but this is like what I truly want. I want people to feel like you're walking into Willy Wonka's chocolate factory and you're seeing your business through a brand new lens, not even thinking about the fact that a physical product can truly transform your business in a way that digital just can't.
The thing that I will add to this, just because I'm a big fan of it, Mark has something called the CBA Lab, and it's literally a space that you are going to step into, regardless of what your business is or how long you've had it. I've seen people that have had their business for 15 years step into it. It has all these things that you can pick up that you can put in a box. It has all these other boxes that you can look at, and you can start to imagine how the box will impact the avatar sitting in their living room, sitting at their computer desk before your event. And when you get into that space and you start to imagine and you start to play with it, and you have somebody there to guide you that has built hundreds of these experiences, you're going to end up with an A plus product, which I absolutely love.
The other thing I would anchor on to is think about what is experience. Experience is seen through the senses. So when we say senses, the sense of sight, sound, touch, taste, smell. When you have a digital only product, you are only tapping into what you see and what you hear. So a podcast is what you see. If it's a virtual event, it's what you see and what you hear. Scrolling through Facebook or Instagram is what you see. The power of something physical is now I can activate touch, taste, smell in addition to what you see and hear. And so think about Disney. Disney has experience down to a T, walking through Vegas, eating at your favorite restaurant, going to a concert or a movie, going to a live event versus a virtual event. It stimulates all the senses, and people who do it well are intentional about how they think navigating through those senses. It is an instant standout and a point of differentiation if you're doing a virtual event without anything physical versus literally sending them something. It is an easy way to take the experience to the next level.
Absolutely. Okay, so we talked about the pre-event, we talked about the event. I want to jump into the post-event piece because I think this is really powerful. We've been able to help our clients add 20% to their bottom line by doing things post event to move people into either a lower ticket sale or
Awesome.
back into a high ticket sale. How, like, you have something that you talk about, I've heard you talk about on stage, and that's the things that we save. How does a box play into things post event?
Yeah. So how we design and engineer the boxes, all of our boxes, if you see them, especially for virtual events, you'll see that they're small. They're a little bit bigger than a book will brain the spine because I know that when you read a book, typically human behavior is not to throw out the book, it's to put it on a bookshelf. So let's design a box experience that is small enough to fit on your bookshelf. Sometimes on the box experiences, we may say that this is box 1 of 4, meaning the virtual event is box 1 of 4 or 1 of 2. And so we can create this illusion of collection. If you want to collect the other pieces, ascend to a higher ticket program. If you ascend, you'll get box 2 of 4. If you stay engaged, we may release 3 of 4. So if you truly want to collect all the pieces, you have to keep playing the game. That's a strategy using the mechanics and the shape of the box itself. The other things that we look at, and one of my favorite things to do is think through what's a leave behind that as they leave the event, whether people are like, we want them to buy at the event, we want to convert as many people at the event, but everyone's on their own journey, and some people may not be ready to convert. How can I extend it? Well, one of the things that we've done is a leave behind, and this is leveraging QR codes is something that we call a lifeline card. And essentially, all it is taking something that looks like a business card or like a credit card size. And the Lifeline card, it just basically sets the intentionality on the back of it, has a story and a QR code that anytime, if you're in sales, anytime you're struggling with sales, scan the QR code and it brings you back to a video from the influencer. Maya Camarota, she was like, anytime that you feel low and alone in life, scan the QR code and you have another inspirational video that kind of reinvigorates the excitement from the event. And you can design these in a way that if I scan the QR code today versus tomorrow, it's cycling through different videos. And you can set that automation up with QR codes and redirects really easily. So this Lifeline card can constantly be evolving. If something's constantly evolving, then you'll never want to throw it out because you'll want to catch the next video that's relevant for the time that you scan it. And the other thing we say doing in that model is it's a perfect opportunity to hit them up with another call to action. You watch the video. If you're ready to join our coaching program, schedule a call with our team, buy our product, whatever that call to action may be. If you can create something that evolves and is always giving value, then it makes it really easy for them to say, oh, by the way, you haven't taken the step, but if you're ready, take this next step. And you can extend lifetime value by just thinking through strategically your leave behinds post event.
I mean, that is an awesome strategy, and I love it. And it all comes down, there's no extra cost to that once you're doing the box. We kind of talked to this from the beginning. The hard cost of goods for the box is 15 to 30 bucks.
That's my happy zone.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in that, if you're charging $200 for an event ticket, to put this in there, I want you just to do the math on this. If you're holding an event already, if you have a 65% show up rate versus an 85% show up rate, is it worth that extra $30? And then take it one step further. If you double your close rate, or if you think that that is too generous, if you just maybe went from 20% to 27% close rate, what does that do for your event, and is it worth putting this in there? Um,
Yeah.
I want to shift just a little bit as we head towards wrapping up here. People listening to this, I know I've gotten stuff in the mail for virtual events that I've attended. Somebody sent me like a silk bag once with like some post-it notes and a pen in it. I've gotten a lot of weird things. What are mistakes that people make, or what is just like bad advice when it comes to doing boxes if someone is listening to this?
I mean, the number one thing I see people do is they go in for imprint or discount mugs or some site like that and just see what's on sale and put a bunch of garbage in a box. I know that you and I, prior to really going all in on this business, were part of events that we received boxes that just were packed with candy and just stuff. And so, like, the thing that I would tell you is, if you have speakers at your event, it's always a good courtesy to send them it, but you can also choose to send a personalized gift, not just a bunch of junk to them. If you have attendees, like again, think about the things that you save and you're like the things that like just that strategy of saying, why do I save this thing? Why do I hold on to it? Becomes more powerful because there's so much more intentionality behind it. But that's probably my biggest pet peeve. The other thing that I would say is it's what people aren't doing, which is They're not giving them the tools to be set up for success. So if you're going to assume that the 200 or 500 attendees are going to print out a bunch of stuff in order to have the do the exercises for the event, like you are putting up obstacles for your people's success. And what I mean by that is if you assume that I need to print out the worksheets to do the thing at the virtual event, you're assuming I have a printer, it has paper, it has ink. When I print it out, I'm organized. Like there's just too many things that if something didn't go right, people get in this idea of someday I'll get around to doing it. And people who live in someday aren't going to get started anytime soon. So this is kind of where it's just like send them what they need. If you want them to take an action, if they need something, give them the pen so they can go through the workbook. But
Yeah.
that's how we start to look at this. But like, don't go after that thing. And I promise you, when you buy a bunch of swag and stick it in the box, it's going to be much more expensive than what we do and much less impactful.
Well, there's two pieces to that that I want to touch on. The first one being I've heard people in the event space, I've had conversations where people tell me, well, if they don't want to print out the workbook, then they're not the right fit client for me. And my
Uh,
response to that is as as the long tail of digital marketing grows, as we get more and more involved in this. 10 years ago, that might have been true because you had so many people at the event. But nowadays, people have been to events over and over and over. They are looking for signs that you are different, better, have more rapport, are more trustworthy. Sending them things that get them involved will move your bottom line. And if you're
yeah.
you're looking to move your bottom line, you need to do that. The
Um,
second piece I want to touch on, and there's one piece that you did in particular for Miranda, sending swag to somebody. If I get one more shirt that just has a brand name on it, do you like wearing, Mark, do you like wearing just random brand names on stuff?
Not at all.
No, I don't think anybody does, right? But that is the default because that's what worked 15 or 20 years ago. Instead, you want to give people something that helps them change into who they want to become. You want to give somebody something that helps them reimagine their lives. There was one piece that came in Miranda's box that a lot of people took pictures of. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Is it the tattoo?
Yeah.
So that was a cool strategy. I can tell that story really quick. So Maya, for her event, told us the story that someone in her community took one of her sayings, which was "Be her now," and they got a tattoo because the message was so powerful. They took it in her script, and she has a specific script that she uses with how she writes out "Be her now." And when she told me that people are going and getting tattoos with it, it was a no-brainer to include in the box experience a temporary tattoo that said "Be her now" in that script. And so what happened during the event was, I mean, we got hundreds of people putting on the tattoo, taking pictures, and like accepting this new identity. And what was so beautiful that she did was she said that as the tattoo fades, it's not disappearing, it's getting absorbed into your skin. So you are becoming that identity that she has outlined. So that was just a really powerful way. How much does a temporary tattoo cost? Under $1. The impact of it, significantly more than that.
Not just that, but it wasn't a tattoo of a brand. It wasn't like, I mean, we came from a world where everybody wants to brand like the brand, right? And that doesn't do anything for me. Instead, if you send something like that tattoo, every time I look at that, I think about her. I think about me. I think about how my life is changing, but I remember the influencer. If you're going to send a t-shirt, if you're going to send a hoodie, something like that, make it aspirational. The person will remember where they got it. That's the whole point of it. But you want it to be something that they live into. I think
Yeah.
it's one of the things that you do really well across all the boxes that I've seen. It always includes stuff that helps people aspire to change
Yeah,
who they are.
totally. Totally.
Okay, that's what we have for box. I want to go through Activate one more time. The Activate series, if you guys want to reach out to Mark, you can go to customboxagency.com. We'll link all of it in the show notes. The Activate series is really special because it's a virtual event that is evergreen. It comes with a box as well as 20 different interviews on how to get leads. I think everybody can use that. Mark, anything to finish up with?
Yeah, just to tell you about the power of it, and this is the power of a simple framework. Activate came about because I would ask every client in our strategy session, walk me through how people find you to buying your products and services. And by doing that, four key themes came available, like four key phases. And this is the journey, the acquisition journey. There's ways people discover you. So all different channels of how people can find you. There's ways that people nurture the relationship. There's ways that they close you to sell the product or service that you have. And so when you see these modalities, these four categories and cards associated with different strategies you can put in place, it's really powerful. And so with the Activate series, not only can you see like kind of what the cards are, but you can literally see this influencer, here are the channels they play on, here's how they nurture relationships, here's how they close people to deliver whatever they're selling. You can see that across the board in addition to their interview. So really powerful. ActivateSeries.com, opt in, it's free.
Awesome. Mark, thanks for coming on and
Yeah.
sharing with us. It's been a pleasure talking as always.
Always, Steve. I appreciate you having me on board.
Awesome. To everybody else, we'll see you next time here on Grow Your Impact, Income, and Influence from the Stage. Have an awesome day.